Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our lovely panelists, everyone who's here to share your experience. And Bob and I began talking about a little over a year ago that we wanted to try and bring the League of Professional Theater Women in TRU together. And he kept saying, I want to do a town hall. So I said, okay, we're going to make that happen. And let's find a topic that will be interesting. What does the term women warrior mean to you?
I like to think of women warrior as not an aggressive term, but more of an assertive term. And frankly, I think you can't always win a war by force and might, but you can win it by being smarter.
When I was thinking about this, I realized that I don't tend to think of woman warrior in the singular. I tend to think of them as a group of women. And I think it's an African proverb saying, if you want to go fast, travel alone. If you want to go far, travel with others. So I've always been a believer that we need to work collectively. And I think women warriors work collectively to push together, to push forward in terms of like artistically, creatively, just in terms of civil rights. I think it's a group of women who are pushing things forward.
What can we learn from our past women warriors, and how can we apply it effectively in today's world?
I worked in a bureaucracy, and I found that there were times when women were not supportive of one another and didn't hang together and were more critical of other women than the men were.
You talked about two particular theatrical productions that kind of like prompted the thought process, Subs and Liberation, both of which dealt with the fact that Black women were not included in those. There's a big number of things, thinking Renee James, Susanna B. Wells, in Wait My Turn. Yeah, and then in Liberation, where you have like one Black character and then another Black actress going, hi, I'm the second one. Kind of addressing the fact that of the tokenism.
Yeah.
And I thought Best-Wall did a great job with that, but still I was thinking like she's trying to figure out how to kind of incorporate this into the story in a way that we weren't really as involved in that way. So I feel like there needs to be more inclusion and inclusiveness to say that, yes, women of color need to be involved in the struggle. I think all women identified people need to be involved in the struggle because we all have certain issues that are the same.
We all have our experience. We are in that experience of what our challenge has been, what we're born to, whether it's being a woman, being Black, being Jewish, being Native American.
Men are not our enemies. I mean, I grew up in a household with fabulous men who were my role models, who encouraged me more than the women did, because the women wanted me to be safe. They said, no, be a teacher now, don't do that. And don't, and my father, my uncle said, you go and do it. If that door is closed, you open it. If it's locked, you knock it down.
I'm going to say something about that as the moderator. So in my experience, the patriarchy is about domination. It's about power over, which implies someone being under. Okay. The matriarchy or matriarchal societies, if you study them, were egalitarian. They were partnership models where men and women were on an equal level, but had different things to contribute. The matriarchal energy is a nurturing energy instead of a dominating energy and an authoritarian energy.
You have to keep taking a stand and being smart enough and take a stand and don't be subservient, but don't be overbearing. Just be smart. Just be smart. Just continue. You've got to continue as women. We have to continue on our path. You can't worry about what's happening here and what's happening. You got to find a path that you want to follow and stick with it.
In the spirit of women coming together to address the patriarchy, how does the issue of women's competitiveness with one another color our ability to come together effectively?
I think supporting each other kind of takes the edge of that competitive. I don't want your job. I want my job that I create. I don't want yours. You already got yours. And I think being insecure about where you are, you got to work, as you said, Cheryl, you got to work on yourself. It's in here.
I am a firm believer of finding what you want to do and just going for it. Don't worry what's on this side. Don't worry what's here and there. Just, keep your focus. Keep your focus.
Eye on the prize.
Keep your eye on the prize. And that's the way you're going to get there.
We are a community. It's like church. We are all individuals contributing different skills, different jobs, different strengths. And I think that it can be really, you can be so focused on your own path, so that you are, not regarding anybody else. You're not welcoming them in. And it can feel very competitive because the theater is a really, really difficult career path.
It is. But that's why service is so important. Yeah. Service then takes that competitive edge. When you are in service, you stop thinking about yourself and you think about the whole. Okay. That's what's great about service. Now you can't let it eat you up, but you must have it every once in a while. You must contribute something unconditionally to something that's bigger than you.
I think we need to begin before the women. I think we need to pay better attention to our children.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that we need to give them the best we can give them, the male and female, to make them secure, to make them strong, to make them go for what it is they want to do.
Given the developments recently with technology, AI, the internet, the impact of COVID, people coming together in virtual realities, how are the methods of the past, women warriors of the past, effective today? And how are we aided by the new technologies, the new advancements, and how is it detracted from?
We are so connected now through social media, through the internet. Information is a barrage every day. You get to see into people's lives. You can see what's going on. There's so much out there. But yet we are all feeling more isolated.
I was at a play reading the other night, a female Native American playwright through the Eagle Project. And her play was about the missing and murdered Indigenous women, which is one of the most overlooked issues in this country, in America. And I went up to her, she's from Canada, and I asked her, I gave her my card and I said, come join the League of Professional Theater Women. We do a lot of things online. Don't be isolated writing in Canada, feeling like, how am I going to be heard? So that's one of the beauties of the League of Professional Theater Women. And because that is one way that the internet and virtual reality is serving us. So how can we get equal rights for women and for all back on track?
We are dealing right now with a patriarchy gone wild. The patriarchy, and it's a metaphor, but it's a reality. The patriarchy has become so fearful of the advances that have been made that they're running wild, just trying to put out all what they perceive as fires here and there, and I find it unacceptable. I may sound like I'm what you said before, one of those people that's hopeless. I'm not hopeless, but I am angry.
Politicians do listen. This is when they listen. They listen when their numbers go down.
Yeah.
I worked with the New York State Legislature for many, many years. And if they get so many negative letters, this is the truth, governor's office, they start to listen because it means votes. And that's what I feel that we, not just women, but men and women need to do, is they need to get the phone numbers and the office numbers of congressmen. And they need to call and be persistent in delivering messages. I believe there's hope in that.
It is a fine line when we get into politics as artists. And I just want to bring the conversation back to the idea of, as women, and what we're fighting for, what may have slipped through our fingers. How does our art serve as a vehicle to speak to the challenges that we're facing?
I can sometimes pick a team, and I can choose to pick women. I can choose to pick people of color, and I have that control sometimes. But I think we can make change on the ground level, on the smaller level.
I have two projects right now that I'm involved with. One is a play about two historical women from the 19th, early 20th century, who are very well known. Eleonora Duse and Sarah Bernhardt, but it was written by a man. He is championing their story. They had it's a wonderful story and not very well known, but the two different styles of acting. It was written by a man, but it highlights these women. The other project I'm involved with Shellen, is a play written by a woman about two mothers in Israel, the Israeli-Palestinian issue where two women come together, and we're going to be presenting part of that commercial at the benefit for the league at the end of the month. But these writing about these things and having, whether it's a woman's voice speaking about women's issues or a man's voice who cares about women, who's researched and studied and given and highlighted women's stories. I mean, I don't want to say who cares who writes it. We want someone to write it well, to do it justice.
Commercial theater is going to be slower to change, but it's hard because that is what's optically the most prevalent in our society, in our industry, and so we are desperate to see that on that level. But it's other people's money, like they are risking their money, and they are not willing to take strong, big risks. So it's important to start and continue the fight at the lower level so that these things gain traction and that they get more visibility and they can thrive at the top.
Well, let me just go back to what inspired the panel. I mean, Betts Wall did just win the Pulitzer Prize. Yeah. And she's up for 5 Tonys with Liberation. So that's a big score. Yeah. And we want her to keep going. By the way, she tried to rearrange her schedule to be here tonight and was unable, but we are talking about doing another event with her at some point, and where we can schedule where there's time for proper promotion and her voice, So that to be continued. But I think we have to look at a few things. We've had progress. It is better than it's been, 14%. There's a ways to go. And we've had a few setbacks. So tonight was really about, okay, we've had a lot of progress and some setbacks, and how do we overcome the setbacks and keep moving ahead? And it is a big conversation. And there's no way to sum it up in one night. There's no answer. Let's just say, if we come out tonight with more questions, we did good.